Historical Advisory Committee meeting of December 21st, 2023. Please call roll.
Commissioner Arasi.
Here.
I have Commissioner Howland absent. Commissioner Sheard.
Here.
Commissioner Jensen.
Here.
I have Commissioner Smith absent. Vice Chairperson Jenkins.
Here.
And I also have Chairperson Durling absent.
Thank you. Please stand and join me for the Pledge of Allegiance. Salute, pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. You may be seated. For the agenda, we would like to delete items number 1 and 5 because they are duplicates. And if the commission is okay with it, we would like to reorder the items to 4, 6, 3, 2, 7. Does the commission agree with that?
Yeah.
That's perfect. Yeah, agreed. Okay, we will start right away with item number 4. Or, I'm sorry, is there anybody here for non-agenda items?
I have no submitted comment cards.
Thank you. We will begin the public hearing then, and we will begin with item number 4.
Restore. Requirements of the code, thank you, is a little bit too thick. The code limits it to the width or the depth or the thickness of the sign to 12 inches, and this is about 17 inches, so technically it didn't quite fit. The municipal code does, however, provide provisions for this kind of a situation, and that is possible to approve. The commission may approve these kinds of signs through what's called the creative sign provisions in the code. The code sets forth basically 4 criteria for the commission to look at. They are the design quality of the sign, some contextual criteria, architectural criteria, and impacts on surroundings. In the staff report, I went through each one of those and gave some findings for the commission for its considerations. We think this is a great addition to downtown. It's kind of going to be a beacon as you come down Montgomery Street, drawing people into the downtown area. We believe it meets all of the criteria established in the code for a creative sign and are recommending approval. I'd be happy to answer any questions the commission might have.
Thank you. Does the commission have questions currently, or would you like to wait?
I don't have any.
Thank you.
Thank you.
We'll open this hearing for public comment. Is there anybody here that wishes to speak from the public?
I have had no submitted public comment cards.
We'll close public comment. Would the applicant like to speak at all, or? No. Okay.
It's going good.
All right. We'll keep comment between commission then. Any questions or comments?
I love the sign. When was it on the building? Originally.
This is a piece to a larger neon that was saved. The larger portion, I think, was taken down in, I want to say, the 60s, maybe 70s. I don't know. Exactly, but city never saw it for a long time, and it has since, the balance of it is, has long since gone away.
It's awesome.
I don't know where it is. And even if it was at corporate yard, I don't know if it was.
Right.
I rotated.
Oh, I love it. I love the idea. It's bright. It's gonna, I agree with everything he presented about it. Super excited.
Do we have any other questions or comments, or we're open for motion?
Well, how tall is the martini glass? The martini glass itself? Yeah, the glass, the one that sit on top. I believe it's 3.5. I have it on this sheet. I don't have my drawings with me. I give them.
It's 5 feet total,
it's 4
so
feet,
probably
8
about.
inches.
It's 11 feet.
Something like
Yeah,
that.
3.5 at the most.
Yeah.
The sign image in front of you is turned sideways, but the provision sign there is what's going under the glass, right?
Yeah.
To the bottom of the sign? 16.5.
That's feet.
And the bottom sign's lit too?
Yes. it will be
Internally?
lit, it's laser cut, the image on there is laser cut, and then it's broken into a rectangular box, is what it is. And there will be a white, I don't know the exact name for the plastic, but a plastic in back of, on the inside. And there's gonna be an LED strip in there on one side, and it'll be repeated on the other side with a, oh, I don't know,
Gonna mirror each other.
something
Yeah.
to block one light from intruding on the other when you're looking at it.
So you're making the sign.
Who's making the sign?
Are you guys making the sign?
The bottom portion of it. The other
Okay,
portion we-
was already there.
Yeah, it was
Wow.
already there, yeah. Just thought we could identify what the martini glass is all about,
Yeah,
you know, advertisement for a business,
yep, absolutely.
in essence.
Open for motion? Item 4.
I'll move to adopt Resolution 2023-29, adopting the categorical exemption and conditionally approving the sign permit.
I'll second.
We got a motion and a second. Please open voting.
Motion passes with 4 yeses.
Thank you. Do you guys have any questions or?
No, so is there another step that we go through, or can we?
Can they put the sign up?
That's up to,
Can you,
What's their next step, Wes?
or,
You will be receiving a approval in writing, but feel free to proceed in the meantime.
Thank you.
I guess the $64 question would be, do we come down and take a permit out to hang it? Okay.
Building permit, yeah.
Yeah, the building department will have to review the structural design and the electrical connections and all of those things.
Yeah, that sounds good. That's all I would have.
all right, well, thank you. We're
Thank
we're
you.
excited. We're excited to
very
see
excited.
it. Yeah.
We'll go get martinis when the sign's up.
thank you.
Thank you for your help.
Yeah, we haven't had a bright sign on that. That protrudes out on Myers. That'll be fun.
Looks like,
I know.
he collects a lot of the old stuff.
Like he has the Scruggs and meter sign.
Who does?
Yes.
Oh, really?
The old one. Yeah. He wants to get, he tries to collect them. Yeah, it's very cool.
Have Lori bring them over.
Exactly.
Quality beverages.
Okay, we will move to item number 6. Staff report, please.
Yes, thank you. The item before you is a slight modification of the previously approved facade for the city of Paris. This is the approved facade, and if you notice, it has blue and white striped awnings, as specified in this application. Brian Wong wants to change. I've got to go back to that. Wants to change the awning pattern. After having looked at many of the buildings and awnings along Myers Street, and is seeking the Historic Advisory Commission's approval to do this, and he's here to explain himself.
Good evening, Commissioner. So anyway, the change was brought about by, if you guys have walked on Myers Street recently, you'll see all the awnings that were torn. So instead of just replacing it with the same color that we have now, I came down and asked Wes to how about properly go about doing that. So instead of changing back, going back to the same color we have on the building now, which is green. So when you look at the current awnings, they don't really quite fit the building in my eye. So when I was having coffee actually over at Mugshots, I was looking at old photos of what used to be on the streets. So all the awnings back in the old days, they were striped like these here, and the bottoms were scalloped on a lot of them. Mm-hmm. So there's two parts for tonight. One is to approve of the other stripe designs for the Prospector's Alley, which is on the middle of the block, and then also the Axiom building. So those are very boxy awnings right now. We actually had like some Photoshop done with those awning fabrics on there, but it'll be striped like that coming down vertical, and then on the bottom it will be scalloped, which matches the old style of awnings that we had in the past. So that more conforms to the architecture of the building as well. So it's a lot more pleasant on the eye when you see it. So if we were gonna replace those damaged awnings with these, striped awnings, then I was thinking like, well, visually, buildings don't just sit there by themselves. You have a whole block. So then we went back to the city of Paris and go, well, does it make sense to have a very solid one color awning for that building, or to try and match the rest of the block? And it just looked a lot nicer having like a more coherent block. So we went back to the City of Paris building. Instead of having the solid blues, the Hatteras Raven on the top is what we propose to put on the City of Paris to match the rest of the block.
Mm-hmm. That's the one I'd pick too. Mm-hmm. It's the most bold. I love that one.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So the bottom one there is going to be at the Axiom. The middle one's going to be at the Prospector's Alley in the middle of the block, and the top one, the City of Paris building, we've designed it to be a very masculine building. So the top one there, it'll be at the City of Paris, and then also at the City of Paris building, it won't have the scallops on the bottom. It'll just be straight, clean.
I love it. I love that. It's always sad when you look at town and there used to be awnings and these porches or whatever you call them on all the buildings.
Yes.
And then it all just got straightened and we took away details. So this is super exciting.
Yes. So these buildings are going to go through phases. So like right now, just to fix a damage that's on there, this is like the first phase that we see. But in the future, when budgeting is not as much as a problem, it'll be nice to go back to some of those eyelid, awnings that were originally on those buildings.
I love those.
Yes.
They're curved, yeah. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Open for public hearing, open for public comment. Is there anybody here that wishes to speak on this item?
No public comment received.
Close public comment on this item and limit discussion between staff and commission. Any questions or comments? If not, we're open for a motion.
I make a motion that we approve this item as it's written in here. Approve the 3 awnings just as he proposes them.
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Please open for voting.
Motion passes with 4 yeses.
Thank you.
Thank you, Brian.
Yeah, thanks so much, Brian.
Now I can order materials.
Yeah, start sewing.
Yeah.
And we will move to item 3 for a staff report. I think there's a few that are ripped.
I know.
It'd be nice to after.
Yes, it would be.
So is it
Axiom,
Axiom
that middle part where Villavino is.
and the
Prospectors.
prospectors?
But then I feel like there's Lunatic Fringe. Is that not included in
I feel like
that?
there's another one too, but I'm not positive.
Yeah.
So
Oh, a karate place. So I don't know.
I don't know what's part of that prospect.
I don't either. Yeah, I know. I wish it was lit all the time. I don't know.
Thank you for your patience here while we set this up. This is a complicated project, has been for years. And so bear with me for a little bit of history and setting the stage for this application. This property, and you can see where it's crosshatched there, it's sort of an I-shaped building that was originally built by the railroad. Here's the railroad depot right here for housing of railroad employees while they were working on portions of the railroad. This is the Oroville Inn right here. This is Lord's Gym. This is a vacant lot, so and this is Bird Street. So you can see where we are here in relation to downtown. It's on a hill. This is the current floor plan, and the property includes 60 individual units, rental units. All of the upstairs units, there are 29 of them, are about 80 square feet. And all of the downstairs units are probably around 110 square feet, with a couple of them are different, slightly different sizes. In 1979, the city approved the use of this building, for this property, as a motel. It was operated as such for several years. At some unknown point in time, the facility transitioned into a non-conforming single-room occupancy, SRO, with permanent tenants living in the upstairs and the downstairs. This activity continued off and on intermittently until code enforcement in 2020 noticed or identified that there are significant livability issues there, lots of code compliance issues, and many safety issues with heating and plumbing and electrical and those types of things. There were also many undesirable tenants, frequent police and medical calls for medical intervention and such. Plenty of violations there. So the city we formed a task force, made several inspections. The then owner made a serious attempt to clean up the place, hired a property manager, and Commissioner Rossi is quite familiar with this project. because his firm was hired to help clean up the place. A lot of tenants were evicted who weren't paying, were causing problems, et cetera, et cetera. Staff note that the SRO was not an approved use. It's not an approved use in the downtown mixed-use zone. And we, at that time, informed the owner that they did need a use permit in order to continue operating it or to operate it either as a motel or an SRO. The application was never filed. It's also a different building occupancy, SRO, than a motel. So there are more stringent requirements for permanent residencies. And SROs require common kitchens, common bathrooms, if they don't have them in their rooms themselves, and that was never accomplished. However, significant progress was made, including evicting all the 29 upstairs tenants where the livability was worse and the problems were the worst. However, the process stalled after a time. My thought is that we probably reached the maximum ability of the owner to cover the cost of the required improvements and such to bring this up to code. Receivership was being considered as an option for the city to pursue. Today, up to 30 tenants still occupy that, and we do not believe there's anybody upstairs.
There's not.
So since these improvements, even though not complete, the number of combined police and fire calls to this location are significantly fewer, 130 calls in calendar year 2023 to date. And that is not many relative to the rest of the city, according to Code Enforcement Director Belser. In 2022, Mr. Beck and his brother, Beck Asset Management, or BAM, purchased the property and has since been actively considering options for renovations and conversion to improve the usefulness of this property. His sweet spot is apartments or SRO buildings, of which he has several in Oroville and Marysville and perhaps other locations. He's discussed apartments with staff, with the DRC, an SRO, and a motel as possible uses, but each actually is quite expensive to upgrade. In the case of SRO, a zoning interpretation would be required to approve this as an SRO, the idea being that an SRO has similar impacts and similar activity, traffic, et cetera, as a motel, and then bring that to the Planning Commission as a use permit. The application today is for a motel, which the applicant stated he's making no bones about it. It's temporary until he can convert it and afford to pay the development impact fees and other upgrade requirements to make it an SRO. So those improvements are in the plans before you. They're on pages, I think 61, thereabouts, 63 to 64 of your packets. The highlights are he's going to put kitchenettes in all the downstairs rooms. He's going to put a common bathroom and kitchen upstairs. There are already common bathrooms upstairs, but he's going to improve them and add a kitchen in a common space up there. He's going to put a laundry room downstairs. He's going to put new paint and significant property cleanup, including landscaping, sidewalk replacements, converting the pool area, filling it in and converting it to a picnic play area, and make sure there's a live-in manager there all the time. Parking is 61 spaces. That's one for each tenant, which is what's required, although the code says one for each tenant plus accessory uses. so that's not specified. 3 of the spaces are ADA spaces, which is what's required here. And staff has told applicant that we think there's enough, quote, accessory parking space along the streets. Applicant is aware of the requirement to limit his tenants to motel stays, to convert them to motel tenants, to charge daily rent, and to pay the city TOT, transient occupancy tax, until such time as he can get the proper permits for an SRO. This property is in the downtown historic overlay, so external changes such as facade, materials, and colors are subject to review by you, the Historic Advisory Committee. Pages 59 to 62 in your packets have the color options. Staff recommends approval. The new owner is working very closely with the city and doing what he can to make improvements, and so this property will be improved considerably over what it was before. But that approval comes with built-in caution that the applicant's activities and improvements and security measures and tenant management should be carefully monitored, mostly because of the property's checkered past and the city's desire to turn this property into a source of community pride rather than the embarrassment which it now is. So A.J. Beck, the owner applicant, is here tonight. His partner in BAM is on Zoom, and his designer, Tyler Tappan, is also on Zoom. I'm sure he wants to make a short presentation, and maybe he can lead us through the discussion of the colors as well.
How's it going, you all? I'm AJ Beck. I'm the project manager for 2255 Bird Street. Appreciate you having us out here today and giving us the opportunity to renovate cornerstone of your city. And that was a great introduction. Wes kind of hit a lot of good points right there. So our plan is to run 2255 as its desired zoning as a motel and do some external renovations, including windows, roofing, paving, fencing, adding a community picnic area, getting everything up to ADA codes, and just bringing a more desirable tenant base to the property. I shouldn't say tenant, I should say guest, but it's going to be run as a hotel. We plan on doing landscaping the hillside, as it's kind of an eyesore right now, upgrading the garbage enclosure and making it a nice place for people to stay at. Wes pretty much summed up the rest of the points, but I would love to hear your feedback on how we can make this happen.
Thank you. We'll open. If that was your presentation, we'll do public comment, and then we'll close public comment, and then we'll open up to commissioners.
I've received no public comment on this item.
Okay. Does the commission have any questions or comments to the applicant?
Yeah. So, full disclosure, my company manages it. Prior to me becoming a planning commissioner. So that's what I described it was. Am I allowed to speak?
You need your mic.
Oh.
I've thought about it, and I don't believe you have any kind of a conflict of interest or anything because of your past, not current involvement in this project.
Perfect. Yeah, I mean, I was involved in a lot of things there. I was involved with the police going there room by room. My concern with I guess with the upstairs, I guess it's more of an SRO when you have the common. If it's co-ed, right, and you have a men's bathroom, a ladies' bathroom, I don't know how you're designing that, but are they going to be still doors, locked doors? So if a lady's using their upstairs, they can lock it while they're showering. Because there was
it was kind of the Wild West there before. So that's my concern is security for the upstairs, for that sort of co-ed combined living. And of course, with the other items at the building, I mean, filling the pool in, repaving that parking lot, getting rid of that old dumpster in the front, that new one that they built, which is kind of steep, but I guess it works. Are you going to be doing the upstairs prior to getting converted to the SRO, or is that all going to happen at the same time?
So it's gonna be as a motel, and right now, as it stands, the upstairs is in pretty good shape from the previous owner. They did all new floors, all new paint. I see what you're saying with the bathrooms, though. We are gonna imply a locking system, and we've had a similar property with this. And what we've done is that we've added keys for the bathrooms, and then also a deadbolt to lock when you're inside. And the key aspect makes it so anybody from the outside that's not in the property can't get into those bathrooms.
So you're going to have it like a hotel you have a key card where if you don't live there, you cannot get in?
Exactly. And there's also, we've already added this, kind of the first thing we did is going up there. It has a keypad lock, and you have to have the code, and that code will be changing now every 29 days. Because everyone will have to be checking out after 29 days.
Okay, so your longest stay is 29 days?
Correct.
Okay, and so when it's an SRO, what's the occupancy on the SRO?
So right now, we're not talking about SRO at all. It's going to be run as a motel. That could be something in the future, but it's everyone's.
So you don't have a timeline for it being converted to the SRO yet?
Not yet. I'm just focusing on running it as a hotel and running it as a hotel until, the time permits. But this is to run it as a hotel for 29 days. Tenants have to check out. It would be great if there would be an ability if the tenant would like to come back in and go to another room. That would be awesome. But I just wanted to see, if the city would be opposed to that, or what your thoughts would be on that.
So is the upstairs right now ready for occupancy as a motel or hotel?
Yes, it is. But there's some code enforcement things that need to be resolved, and I have a licensed architect working on that. The biggest issue is the fireproofing that Allison wanted to see. It's more of like how the fire-rated doors are there, and making sure that the subfloor is intact and the walls are intact, and that the heating air is working. But a lot of those issues were resolved and done with. The boilers were all cut down, so there's no boilers. It's only the window and wall AC heaters that are there. And a lot of the past issues have already been resolved. The only issue that really needs to be resolved is the fire rating, and to have a licensed architect to prove that fire rating is good. And I have somebody that's ready to submit that in the next week or two for a building review.
So are you going to be having like mini splits in these units, or just?
It's all existing. So it's a wall unit, wall AC with a heat pump. So it's heat and air, and they actually do 1,000 square feet. And this was something that the past owner already installed.
Okay.
I think for me, zoning codes, they have quite a few purposes. Not only is it the architecture and the paint colors and the safety of the building, but also is the use complementary to the goal of a downtown historic mixed-use district. And for me, your ultimate goal of an SRO that is 60 square feet or 110 feet, that is not at all compatible with the demographic of what a thriving downtown needs. I mean, honestly, we need customers with disposable money that want to come and shop in our stores. So I really am not for the goal of the SRO, as far as I agree with the mixed-use zone not allowing it. I just think we have to fight for a historic downtown, and we desperately need customers. So are you open to making this to where they're larger rooms, like cutting the occupancy by a third or more, and making it more nicer apartments that we can actually bring customers?
Can I chip in on this, guys?
What?
This is Michael Beck wants to add in.
Hi, everyone.
Yes.
I'm Michael. I'm AJ's brother. It's nice to meet you all. I appreciate everything you guys have been doing, specifically Wes. I know you've been working in concert with AJ for a long time on this, and this property is severely overdue for the TLC that we're hoping to put into it. So first, just wanted to touch on that. And to speak to your point on the end goal as far as what we would like to do with this property, ideally, our preference would be to do apartments. The SRO is not something that is our ultimate goal. I think it's more so of a feasibility from a budget standpoint of what it's going to cost with the impact fees to be able to convert it to apartments. I would love to convert that upstairs into 15 apartments instead of 30 SROs. That is what my long-term goal would be. I agree with what you're saying with, bringing the customers into downtown. I think that can be done either with the motel or it can be done with having some more higher end apartments in downtown so people can go into the bars, they can go into the restaurants, they can go shop, and they're in walking distance. You can create that walkable living right there in downtown. So really, we just want to work with you guys, and we're happy to be flexible with the end goal. I think right now our goal is just to get out of the red, so to speak. It's been very expensive trying to get this property up to par with where it needs to be. And so we would like to start getting some income brought in, and, this property needs substantial upgrades to be able to bring it up to par with what we like to see with our properties. AJ's been coming in, working with you guys, trying to, get all the finishing touches just to make sure that you guys are happy with it, whether it's paint colors, any design aspects that that you guys need to see. But to answer your question, yes, we are flexible. It's more so from a cost perspective when we're looking at those $300,000 in impact fees, that would take up our entire budget of being able to renovate this property. And just because of how the property is set up value wise, it's going to be tough for any investor to come in and spend $300,000 on the impact fees and then spend money on the improvements and still be able to have it make sense financially.
I totally get that. So why are the impact fees more expensive if you have less apartments as opposed to however many 61 SROs?
Unfortunately, our building official is no longer with us. Her last day was yesterday.
This is who? Allison?
Allison. She's moving to Texas.
Okay.
And is not with us. But my understanding of the purpose for these fees is that it was originally approved as a motel.
Mm-hmm.
It's technically not been occupied for many, many years. Converting it to an SRO makes it a new use. And the fees have been calculated according to giving a credit for, I guess, the fees that were paid before, percentage fees or something. I haven't seen the calculations. But they because of the number of rooms in this facility, the fees have added up to
But if you
about
reduce the number of
300,000.
rooms, if you have larger rooms,
Based on square footage, I believe.
Could I?
the fees are based on square footage?
It was my understanding that it was $8,000 per unit. So if we added 15, that would make it 42 units or 45 units, and those fees would still be around $225,000.
Well,
And also just to speak on the impact fees, it really just varies from municipality to municipality. So we've had properties in Marysville that have required a similar conversion and they don't charge impact fees. And then there's other properties. There was a property we purchased in Chico that used to be a motel, similar situation. They constantly had issues with, the kind of people that were coming through. And the city of Chico granted a conditional use permit, basically allowing them to run it as apartments. And that was just a huge, huge switch like that. So I understand you guys have your own set of rules, but it's looking at it from our perspective of how we can make this work financially. Running it as a motel right now is what is the only way that can make sense for us. Otherwise, if we would have to spend $300,000, that's going to cut into our entire budget.
yeah, so what kind of latitude do we have? Because that makes absolutely no sense. Like, we have to do what's good for the area.
Our codes have two options that an applicant may apply for. One is a fee deferral, which defers impact fees until such time as the facility is occupied and generating revenue so that they can be paid, at that time, later time, and have a less of a cash flow problem. The other is there is a provision for impact fee credit, which must be fully justified with findings and such, and go to the city council for approval. So there are a couple of requests that can be made.
Yeah.
We can start processing them if BAM wants to do so, and see where it comes out.
It's just in everyone's best interest for this project to be well done. And I just don't think those little tiny rooms, I don't think that's the vision. And the SRO, like I said, I'm just completely against that.
I understand. And for us, I know we've been working on this for a long time, and you guys have been very patient with us, and I appreciate that, because we've been this is the first time we've ever dealt with something this complex, and we want everybody to be happy with it. If you guys aren't happy with it, then it's not going to make sense. So for the moment, it seemed like motel has been the best route, so that's our goal today, is to get that approval so we can start moving forward with these renovations. We can, get this building full. We can start, paying our TOTs and everything. And the understanding from Allison was that it was going to be about a 4-month process to challenge these impact fees and go before city council. And our issue as investors is we have an 18-month loan on this property. So that expires in July. And, we kind of need to get going on this and either move forward with a project or sell it. And then, you guys are starting over from scratch with somebody else. We would really love to see this through and get it done. If there is any sort of way that we can circumvent those impact fees, we would be happy to switch gears, because downstairs is already conducive for apartment living. Those units are larger. And then the upstairs, we could combine basically a 2-to-1 to make 15 apartment units upstairs. So I'm flexible. We're flexible. We want this to be a win-win for everybody, and we want this to be a cornerstone of the downtown mixed-use district. But right now we are, looking to get this going so we can start bringing in some income from those top units.
Do we have any other comments?
Yeah.
Questions?
These impact fees, are these, is this school district fees, just regular fees that a motel would pay? Or what are they based on?
There are typical sewer, water, school impact fees. Those that you mentioned may not, be able to be deferred if the school district doesn't agree to that.
The school district count this as, is it different than residential as opposed to hotel commercial?
I haven't seen the breakdown of the fees.
My understanding is that if we keep the use as motel, which it's zoned for, then there are no impact fees. But as soon as we change the use to SRO or to residential apartments, that's when the impact fees come into account. And so that is the number one reason why we are opting to keep the property in its current configuration.
If you didn't have that huge expense of impact fees, what is the largest size of the apartments that you're willing to go? Because you're saying 110 square feet for the downstairs apartments. That's really little. That's to me still doesn't fit the mixed use downtown. Yeah, it's nothing. It's a room. So what are you willing to do if the impact fees were able to be dealt with? What's the size that would work for your to make it, pencil out?
What would you want to see? Would you want to see 1 bedrooms, 2 bedrooms?
Yeah,
What would be
more
the
like an
desirable
actual apartment that someone who has a job and has extra money and has more amenities and is nice. Yeah, it needs to be bigger. I don't know. The smallest studio apartment maybe is 400. I don't know. 300. I don't know what those numbers are. Just as far as the vision for the downtown mixed-use district, and we don't need more low income, which I know this isn't technically low income, but that's what it becomes when it's only 100 square feet.
I believe the calculations that I ran when I was looking at this at the very beginning was converting it to 42 units, which I don't know what the square foot calculations would come out to, but I believe that's what was the combination of upstairs units and combining
That would
maybe
work
some
for
of the
you.
downstairs units that are smaller.
What is the current legal square footage of the building now? I don't remember from my past history with it.
What do you mean by that?
So all the 61 rooms combined, what is the actual total square footage?
Believe it's around 7,000.
16,000 square feet.
16,000 square feet. Okay, so 16,000 square feet, you're looking at least. If
I'm
the
seeing
school-
differing square footages online. I don't have it handy, but that's what I saw on one website.
What I need an extra, on the SRO, the single occupancy, what does that actually mean in terms of, how is that different? Is it occupancy time, an SRO as opposed to hotel, motel?
SRO is a permanent resident, yes.
So it's like an apartment?
It's a permanent resident, but they don't have kitchens or bathrooms in the unit.
Okay, so, all right, so then
With
it's like
upstairs.
a co-op, well, not really a co-op, all right, so you've got 15 rooms upstairs, and those 15 people share a bathroom and share a kitchen. That's defines SRO?
An SRO, if it does not have an individual bathroom or kitchen in the room, there have to be common restroom and kitchen facilities available to that tenant.
Okay. So, if I remember correctly, downstairs, the rooms have their own bathrooms, correct?
Correct.
Right. It's just the upstairs that does not.
We're proposing to add kitchenettes into each downstairs unit, to add a kitchen to each unit.
Okay. So this sounds more like a residence inn type of a situation that you're trying to, right? Like an extended stay or something like that?
Right now, it'd just be a motel, so 29 days, the tenant has to check out. Guest has to check out.
For one day.
So are we talking about the goal of having an SRO or the goal of converting to apartments? Because those would be two completely different operational strategies. If we're just for the sake of having this discussion, talking about what the ultimate goal would be and what, it sounds like everybody's on the same page. What will be the best for the city is to bring in some more high clientele residents into the property that are going to spend in downtown. For that to happen, that would not be SRO. That would have to be, normal apartments.
Well, what we don't want is we don't want what we had when it was
Right.
SRO.
Before.
McGuire Suites or prior to.
Right.
We don't want that.
Right.
Yeah.
When it was SRO.
Yeah. Yeah, we don't want that. We need.
Don't you think that some of that too had to do with how the property looked and how run down it was?
And how it was, how it was managed.
Well,
yeah.
looks, how it was run, who's there on the daily operations, which I'm assuming those guys are still there. They're gone now?
No, they're gone.
Yeah, we have an on-site manager and we have a regional manager that stays there 9 to 5. On-site manager stays there all day.
That Tracy?
No, and then I come in like 4 times a week every single day, or 5 days a week for 2 hours every day. So it's triple managed every day.
Because Tracy actually did a good job. He cleaned it up a lot.
Yeah.
When he was there.
Tracy was with McGuire and he's moved on to another property.
Yeah.
So I know there's been
Yeah.
owners over the last couple of years, so it's different people.
I'm just trying to figure out, because I know the school tax is, $4.79 a square foot on an SFR, but they're cheaper on commercial. So I don't know if this is going to be considered commercial for the district, because the district is 20 cents a square foot for commercial, and it's $4.79 square foot for residential. So that's you're talking 50, 60 grand for just your school impact fees.
Yeah.
Which you're not going to have anybody living there really if it's a motel going to the school using the district.
Well, I was there today and drove around and looked, and there was a woman came out of one of the units with a baby. So there's families there.
Rent's expensive.
I fully understand, but if having to move out and move in is kind of difficult to do.
So I have a question for the applicant. AJ, you originally came in with a proposal to convert this into apartments. What kept you from moving forward with that? I know there were zoning issues. You had to have a commercial component in downtown mixed use if you're going to have a residential property. I'm sure the impact fees would also have been charged, but there would also be the cost of renovations and converting the rooms, enlarging the rooms. Were they all just equal, or was one of them most critical?
The biggest is the impact fees for us, and I know the commercial component as well. The renovating is not a problem, and paying the renovation fees is not the problem. The biggest problem for us to reach as apartments is the impact fees and the commercial aspect of that, because we would like to run it as strictly apartments, and that's why we kind of 180'd, and it took us a while to figure it out, because we were trying to figure out how we can reduce these impact fees, and we're unsuccessful. But we kind of got pointed in the right direction now, but that's going to be a while down the road, and right now we're just trying to get this property looking better, get it well managed, get some better security going on, and make it nice. And so that way
The other curveball that we kind of ran into was it was never disclosed to us by the seller that the property was in code enforcement and that it wasn't a legal SRO. We kind of came in and did our own due diligence, but it never really came up. So then we had some false starts with our original plan submittals. And that's our fault ultimately for not, digging deeper. And not to make any excuses, but here we are, a year later, and we kind of need to decide what we're doing. And our ultimate goal, like we've said, would be to do apartments if we can find a workaround. But for the immediate future, we're asking that we can get, this conditional use to be able to run it as a motel. And then down the road, once we've, done the renovations and stabilized the property, we would love to have a conversation with you guys about doing apartments. And the good thing is that a majority of the work that needs to be done is on the outside, so it wouldn't be a huge financial hit for us to proceed as motel and then make a pivot to apartments, down the road through a 6-month process. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
What is it currently being used as now?
An SRO.
SRO.
Currently being used as SRO.
It's a
so
non-conforming.
non-conforming, so we can't do it. Can do a use permit to do that?
With some hoops to jump through.
Right.
To make the zoning work, yeah.
Okay. But with the SRO comes the impact fees, correct?
Correct.
Okay. So, I agree with Natalie in terms of having the rooms a little bit large. If you could have the rooms a little larger, maybe get a little more money, you don't have to have them so small and have such a full, high occupancy.
Mm-hmm.
And you can, because this property needs a complete facelift.
Mm-hmm.
It needs it. We got the hospital here. We got, 1,000 people coming to town. We need, so on the SRO West, it's like a traveling nurse or whatever. They're on a 13-week contract usually. If it's an SRO, they're allowed, they can stay there for the 3 weeks or 3 months, or whatever I said. They're on a 3-month.
Or they can operate it as an extended stay with, as a motel or hotel. There's lots of models, a way to manage a property as a motel.
Right.
But I think the applicant, would need to make it as attractive as possible inside and out in order to be attractive to the mobile nurses and things like that.
No, absolutely. Yeah,
it's
absolutely. It's going to take a lot. I was just looking on a way for, because the impact fees are a big obstacle and a roadblock to a lot of this. So you're not changing the way, water and sewer are provided to the building. It's the same as it was, right?
Mm-hmm.
Correct.
So impact fees are only based upon if you were to rebuild this property brand new, your impact fees to build it.
The impact fees, I believe, is if we're changing the zoning from being a motel to SRO or apartments, any other zoning, then we get the impact fees.
Yeah,
So it's
Even
it's
though
the
we're not
use.
changing the physical structure of the property.
right. So it's basically just a paper change, if you will, right? It's not a physical change.
It's probably worthwhile for the applicant to move and apply for a deferral and or a credit and see where that
Yeah, I mean,
leads.
I would think that if there were goals that they had to achieve in terms of with the outside and the appearance of it, that I would deferring. Now, when you defer the fees, are they paid all in a lump sum at the end, or at a certain point, or are they a monthly fee, or are they structured?
Well, it's
certain ways.
It's up to the city council, but
Okay.
usually they're lump sum at the end.
Okay.
Yeah.
If it's if the building is done and occupied for a little while and refinanced, new financing on it,
Correct.
pay off
Correct.
the
'Cause
impact
right
fees.
now-
Correct, yeah.
Do you have a
To be
lender who give
very
you a
to be very
commitment for that?
frank, right now we're paying, 17 grand a month in just interest.
Right.
Maintain this property. So if we can complete this project as a motel and get it occupied and refinance into some better debt, that would be a huge help. So then we can take the time with you guys to go through your processes to have this conversation about the impact fees, because we're apartment guys. That's what we do. We would love to do it as a motel if that's what you guys want, but it sounds like the council would prefer a different direction. And if we can work together on it, we're more than happy to do that.
I mean, what I'm trying to do is just figure out a way to help you guys with your impact fees. And
Yeah, I
mean,
appreciate it.
I mean, if it was me, I'd get the plan together. What the end goal was, go to a lender, get a commitment from them. We do this. Here's projected income, and then take it to the city and say, look, impact fees, fine. Once we get this done, occupy, refinance it, we have a commitment, and we'll pay whatever it turns out to be, 300 grand.
Pro
Pay it at the end.
formas.
Takeout loan or whatever you want to do. But we do need it to enhance the downtown. I would like to see this building, renovated. Obviously,
Yeah, I wish they could be minimum 400 square feet. I mean, to me, that's just the minimum to really fit a downtown mixed use. And we have enough low income housing. So to me, they go together. I would love to, in my dream scenario, eliminate the impact fees, but get the kind of project that would really help enhance and be what you've said, a cornerstone. It can't be just these little tiny kitchenettes. I just don't think that hits the mark, in my opinion.
So what?
So as far as today goes, with the plan moving forward, how do you guys feel about giving us the okay to start the exterior and at least start bringing in some money so we're able to get to this next step?
Yeah, because you don't need permission for a motel, right? It's already approved. You're just getting permission
No,
for
it's a use permit
Oh, it
because
is.
it really hasn't been a motel for many, many
Okay.
years. So
Okay.
that requires a new permit.
So it actually really has. It's kind of in limbo. It really has no specific use right now.
No conforming use,
Now
that's
the trucks
correct.
right now.
It's just
It's horrible.
whatever. Basically, it's okay.
Non-conforming.
Yeah.
I think what the applicants are really asking for here is to be able to move forward with an improvement with the idea that we're going to be able to revisit this in the future as you're able to capitalize and have more investment available for further renovation and improvement.
Yeah.
And that the operation as a motel is something that would fit within the zoning for the property, get rid of the non-conforming use, the use that this zoning does not allow. So, that sounds like a step in the right direction to me.
Yeah. I want to really keep these costs down. And that's always been an issue there. But you know, and again, if you're gonna be an on-site guy there and
Mm-hmm.
keeping your hand on it and getting it renovated and fixed up and keeping the
Yeah,
occupants,
down. Yeah,
yeah,
good.
good.
Let me offer a thought here. Condition number 1 on page 114 limits the use to being a motel hotel and requires a use permit for converting it to SRO. And it talks about agreeing to inspections to verify that it's being used as a motel. One of the things that one could do, this planning commission could do, is either form a small ad hoc committee to work with the applicant on a sort of a continuing basis to help move things along and see that everything's done according to Hoyle. I know a lot of people don't necessarily understand that phrase, but and or the DRC might on a bi-monthly basis discuss this project with the applicant owner and just help it along and as he applies for a fee credit, impact fee credit or deferral, and all the justifications and such, we can work with the applicant and maybe get this to really become a source of pride.
Yeah, I know I'd seen you in the DRC several times. That seems like a good place.
Yeah.
But it's what do you guys?
I think that sounds good.
Cool. I love that. Thank you so much.
I think a timeline and seeing progress getting done on this is very important to everybody here.
Yeah.
Staff and, OPD, everybody.
Yeah.
Honestly. So, I think that would be good. Maybe have bi-monthly meetings or inspections or I don't know, however you would.
Updates from the applicant.
Yeah,
and-
well,
and
we'll be able to see physical
questions and
changes.
concerns.
Yeah, we're going to be doing a
Obviously.
lot of renovations, so this is
AJ's gonna be talking to you guys a lot, so
Yeah.
he'll be
I'll be in here every
he'll be
week,
there a
every
lot.
day if you need me.
I mean, I've wanted that pool filled in for the last 4 years.
Yeah, that's
You know?
one of our things. That
I mean,
we're doing.
We're super
dangerous.
excited just to go through plan check and get the approval so we can get going because we can move pretty quickly once we get the okay from you guys to proceed.
Yeah, I mean, if it's possible, if they can defer the fees until it's done, then I think it's a good idea.
I think the deferral is up to 1 year if the city council approves it.
There you go. You think you could have it done in 1 year?
The whole project.
The
Yeah.
plan that you would have to present to the city council to get your deferral.
Oh yeah.
To
Yeah.
say, this is what we have planned, this is what we've done, this is our timeline, this is what we have,
Yeah.
so we need this amount of time, we're gonna get permanent financing to pay these fees.
Kind of the thought process is while we're doing these renovations is to start to come up with that idea and get all of our I have someone that's already come up with the plan for us, one of our attorneys, and we're going to put something together and present it to the city council so that we're all together on the same page. And I've already been working on that. And I think, the hardest part is not me getting in, but it's getting the feedback. And, I'm going to probably have back and forth. But for sure, I could get that submitted within a year. No doubt, probably within 6 months, we could get something submitted.
I think as far to comment on the fees, I think the issue is not so much as the deferral as much as the amount. So if we can work with you guys on that, that's a conversation for another time. But I think that's the biggest roadblock. And then once we can come to an agreement on the number of units and all that and see what all the financial projections look like, then to AJ's point, we can move pretty quickly. I think it's more so we were working off of Allison's timeline that it was at least a 4-month process to go through that zoning change.
It probably would be. In this case, we'd probably recommend that it come also to the planning commission. Pro formas are involved and a number of other, justifications. But if the planning commission recommended the deferral or a credit, that might even help support the argument. I don't know.
So as far as that goes, that timeline is what it is. But once it would come to doing the actual work, let's say whatever we're combining the 60 units into 40 units or whatever the number we agree upon, we can move really pretty quickly when it comes to that point. So as far as getting it done in a year, that would just depend on how long it would take to go through the whole process with DRC and Planning Commission and all those different departments.
The proposed renovations that we have here, like he said that we have till July. We're trying to get this done by March with the renovations, with just the exterior. And on most of our projects, we work pretty dang quick. We did the Myers and High Street one over there in 2 months, and that was 12 units. And I know this is just an exterior renovation, so it should be something similar to that timeline.
And the kitchenettes.
Yeah, and the kitchenettes.
I saw you replaced all the sidewalk in the frontage too, correct?
Yes, all the way down on Bird Street.
On Oliver and Bird Street, it looked like.
We haven't done it yet, but
That was on. Is that what the plans?
from
it looked like
the-
it was on the plan.
from the front all the way down to the bottom, and then the front curb will be replaced, and that's been submitted in our plans.
Is that a requirement of that project?
It's required by the city's engineer.
Okay.
Have you looked
So
into
do you
the
do
price
curb
of?
gutter and sidewalk, or doesn't it have any
The
at all?
city's
It
engineer
has it
wants
now.
us to do that.
So just take it out.
I didn't look to see how bad. It must be in bad shape.
It's not too bad, to be honest, but they said it's 6% slope, and they want ADA 2% slope.
Oh, okay.
And it's a side cross slope. I mean, it's really, to be honest, it's not
We
that
have
bad.
we have
but
our
it would help
architect
out.
working on it to do all the calculations, so it's still to be determined on that. But everything that all the conditional items and the approval are things that we're prepared to do.
And they want my draftsman, he's here, he's completed a lot of this and done a great job. And I know that there's some stuff they want done by an architect, so we have someone that I've already called everyone, and I have someone that's trying to get something submitted to you guys by the 15th for a complete set of plans for building review. That's our goal. To start the renovations, to get the permit to
So
start.
does that go to DRC to look at that, or?
No, those would be building plans. They would be reviewed by the building department and the engineer and the planning department and such at the staff level.
Okay.
Yeah.
And so are we looking, are we,
What's our second part of this, Wes? What with the color schemes? How do we do this?
That's a discussion that I think we should have right now.
So our preferred color scheme is two of them. That top one we did in Calusa, and I could even send you guys some pictures of that one. And this city was like blown away with that one. We did the one thing that's not pictured in there is black around the window trims, and then the black trims around the doors. We did that, and did that one look good? Like, wow. It blew me. I was a little skeptical when I saw it in the picture. I was like, eh. But then when we did it, it was like, that one was fantastic. And then if you scroll down a little bit, our other one that we've done in Marysville right here, the green and white with the yellow stripe, it really sticks out. And I know the colors seem a little bit dark, but honestly, it's just the computer. In real life, it's not that dark. It's way brighter than that. It's honestly a computer issue, but that's kind of our two preferred, but we wanted to see what you thought and came with a bunch of different schemes here on other properties we've done and based upon other motels that we've seen, to see what we can come up with to put together.
Staff took about 6 or 8 staff took a very highly scientific poll and concluded that their preference was this gray with the red doors, but a lighter gray color, not such a dark gray. So
That's my other bread and butter. I do that one on all of mine too.
We all like something different.
Yeah.
well, I don't like the mauve one.
I like the cupolas being dark, so you can at least see them. And that's only with the blue.
This is only a picture. It looks a lot different in real life.
Yeah. And I do think it would make a big difference if you had a black outline around those turquoise doors. Totally.
It's kind of hard. It was hard for us to do that on there, but
I've done this too on Bear.
There'd be a trim, around it.
It's hard to get it.
Yeah.
Is this part of the item, Wes, or is this just our verbal discussion with the applicant?
it's up to the Historic Advisory Commission on that. to either approve it or to leave it to applicant.
Okay. Any consensus?
What do you think? I didn't hear either of you
The
vote.
gray one looks too much like it looks
I agree.
already. I've been.
So I guess I
They
didn't
had
agree
some
with staff.
awful salmon color on there.
Yeah.
I mean,
Just
now it's what, green?
It's green. If you look in the bottom right, that's what it looks like right now.
Oh, it's horrible.
It looks like a Vietnam War base.
And the cupolas look horrible.
I mean, it's not inviting at all. That one to me is the most inviting.
Yeah.
That one there.
With
Yeah.
black trim.
But
Imagine like a paved parking lot too. That's really nice.
that hill not being
Yeah.
brown. being
Exactly, with
something.
nice landscaping. Yep, and it's all listed in our plan.
Landscaping.
Exactly. Yep. Not what it's like now.
No, God,
No.
no.
We've just been waiting till we get approval. It's because we're not going to landscape the whole hill, and then you guys be like, well, "What's this? We want this." So we've been waiting, but we.
Do a landscape plan, Wes?
Yes,
said
it's
in
part
here
of
they
the
were going
building plan review process, and our streets and our arborists take a look at it.
We've already submitted that in our set of plans.
Artwork on the walls?
Like fish structures inside
Like the
or
Starbucks,
outside.
they got the oranges, whatever.
I think that's because it's new. You have to do artwork if it's a new I don't know.
Well, I mean, being that it has actually really no use, it's kind of new.
If you go up to, it's the landscaping plan, and on the top right has all the plants and says what we're going to be doing.
Right. Hi, can you guys all hear me? This is Tyler Tappan. I'm the draftsman. I've been working with AJ.
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay, great. Thanks. I just wanted to make myself known that I'm still here and able to answer any questions you guys have about the plan set. Yeah, it looks like you guys have found the landscaping plan as it stands right now.
Oh, that's as it is right now?
No, that's our current plan of what we intend to do for the time being. So it's adding these the drought tolerant plants across the front with that the reinforcing for the hill.
Oh, that's reinforcing. I did see that Allison wrote on there that you wouldn't need to irrigate, but I think you could do drip tape super efficiently and be able to have, it still would be drought tolerant, but I
The issue is the slope.
well, they have all the management there to catch the leak. It's triple managed.
How are the
Landscaping's important.
The stairs going in the corner, they're going down to like downtown.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Because
those are cool.
They weren't in great shape.
The stairs, I believe that the posts are going to be fixed on the sides, but the stairs themselves, I don't believe we're just going to make them all good. I don't believe there's any cracks or anything. No one's pointed out anything. I haven't noticed anything that was pretty bad about those.
The facility is existing. It's been in existence for a long time, so the ADA requirements include setting up a path of travel inside the property to the trash enclosure and to the picnic area and such, but there's no requirement to make a path of travel from the street to the
'cause
building.
It has quite the
Yeah.
the slope getting up.
So that's
Right. That was our understanding as well. So that everything on site is interconnected by accessible paths of travel. But again, like you guys said, the slope in the front is just too great to really do anything about that could, have that ADA sloped ramp or any kind of structure like that.
And where does the fence go?
The fence is in the front of the property on the sidewalk.
On the sidewalk, below
all the way to the back. That way, there's
all
no
the
Pretty
way
much right on the
around
property
where-
line.
all the way around, so that all of the people are going to have to go through the front to get in, right where the manager is, so we can see
Okay.
who's coming in to make sure that we're on top of our security for the property. Wrought iron.
Okay.
And how tall?
Whatever the Sydney Orange. That's a
Believe-
question of Tyler.
Okay.
Yeah, the height can change pretty readily, I believe. We currently have, I believe, 6 feet. I can...
6 to 8 feet is acceptable for a commercial facility.
And then it
How
goes
much
up.
Yeah,
was-
on
6 feet?
on
6
sheet
to 8.
AH, we have 6 feet currently shown.
We want it where it's going to be concentrated to one area of entrance so that we can make sure how many guests are coming in, how many people are coming over, everything will be regulated so that we don't have those police calls as much. We want that central entrance right there so we can see it.
And since the fence is see-through, they won't have to lower the height at the corner, at the street corner then, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
No one will be hopping that thing either. It's right on. It's
Yeah.
got some pokes on top, so.
Kind of convoluted everything, so what are we gonna, what are
Approve
we
the
actually
motel
gonna be
use.
voting on, now?
Well, that's actually up to the planning commission.
We're approving the
Oh,
motel
luckily
use
that's
with
us.
the DRC
So
meetings
bef-
bi-monthly.
But before we go that far yet, let me just ask a question, because this project came up through DRC a couple of weeks ago, and at the time, staff had a lot of questions and comments about the operation plan and the security plan. I don't have a list of all of those in front of me. I didn't think to bring them, but have those concerns been addressed? Or are there any further concerns from staff on the plans, or?
I went through on your guys' comments on what you said. I believe they said the security plan was good. They just wanted, all of our security is gonna be done by on-site management, and that's what wanted to be made clear. So on the comments I got for this meeting, they said they were all good. For the operations plan, there was something about late fees that wanted to be taken off. I actually have it here presented for you guys, all the updates that I've made to the operations plan. They wanted a clear check out and check in for the guests, and they wanted to make sure that we hold the guests' IDs until they check out. So that was added to the plans, and it seemed like to me that they weren't really for the idea of rotating rooms. They wanted a clear checkout. You know, I wanted to see, it's up to you guys, but you know, I know a lot of these people have been here for a long time. And, you know, it would be great, you know, on January 1st, I'm going to make a note out to them saying effective on January 29th, you have to check out of your room. And if they don't check out of their room, you know, we're probably going to have to do some lockouts and some evictions, but it would be great if we could just make it where they could go to another room and say the new rule is that 29 days, if you're not in the room, then you got to go to the next room. And if they don't at that time, the occupancy is less than 30 days, and I've talked to my attorney, you could do a lockout at that time, so it's going to prevent a lot of long-term stays. And if there's any issues, they can be locked out and taken off the property quicker. I think that's going to eliminate a lot of issues for the short term. And obviously, we want to get to the point where we can just have a new structure built for the bedrooms, like we're saying for the apartments, and not have to do that. But this is kind of a short-term solution up to your, just want to see if you guys would be opposed to that.
How much are you charging for the rooms?
$800 a month. And it's kind of like one of the more affordable spots in town, so a lot of people are going to want to come back. Or, you know, new people, when it's renovated, there's going to be some new people coming in, but, you know, it's going to be, if they check out, there's going to be no one else to check in. The city's not going to be able to get their occupancy tax on that. We're not going to be able to have the cash flow to finish the project as well. So there's a lot of things, you know, involved in that. If we just clean house, it's going to, there goes our budget for doing the impact fees. So it's just kind of a convoluted problem.
So what do you do?
Yeah, to a room, then you clean the room, you
Clean the room,
they're in, so that way you
they're
can bring
out,
the
their
standard
damage deposit is given back minus their damages, and if they want to go to another room, they have to pay another damage deposit, and they have to do a new check-in sheet, and they all have to go to the office on that day. If they're not there, then if it's after the first period, after the evictions and lockouts, it's going to be, at that point, we call the city of Oroville police, and if they don't leave, they can lock out, because that's the law, that you can do a lockout on a motel if it's below 29 or below 30 days. And I've already spoken with my attorney, and the biggest thing I want to see in this meeting is if we could get the police on board with this, because I know I've had a few evictions in town that have gone through the court process and everything like that, and I have the police out there, and the police say, oh no, they don't have to leave, they don't have to stay, and the court, it's right there on the door, and then I have to call the sheriff, and then the sheriff calls them and tells them, what are you guys doing? Like, you have to get this person out, and then that's like 5-6 days. So that has been an issue with the police. So I was wondering,
No,
if there's-
evictions were a problem there.
Yeah,
Major. So
for sure.
What do you do if someone, they're on the 29th day, they got to go, but you're at 100% occupancy, so this person's out? They have no place to go.
Everybody's moving rooms, and if they don't move rooms, they got to go, and we have to start the process
So you have
to get them out.
So there's going to be a room that you're shuffling people in and out of. That's what you're saying.
Yeah,
There's always going to be a room to shuffle around.
Yep. And this has been done in a few buildings in Marysville and Olivehurst that I'm familiar with successfully. It's right off of the freeway, right before the bridge going into Marysville, right there. There's one, and there's another one called the Peachtree in Olivehurst that does this. I know this is a standard practice for a lot of motels, and the city knows about this in those areas as well. So it's up to your guys' decision on that. If that's not acceptable, then we're gonna have to go with another route, but wanted to leave it up to you.
The one advantage that I see immediately is that people will not be encouraged to set up permanent residence in that room. They know they're going to have to move, so it does help keep the occupancy more transient. Which would be what we'd be seeking.
Since the occupancy is less than 30 days, if there's an issue with anybody, we can do a lockout at any time, as the law states. And so that means if there's a problem, they could be removed from the property immediately rather than having to wait another 60 to 90 days and go through the process. And then those, their friends are going to come and blah, 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 and there's going to go all those calls up. So I'm trying to figure out a way to make this, beneficial to get the crime down and make this profitable and make this all around good for everybody temporarily until we can figure out a solution to make these into apartments.
Is there a zero tolerance policy? So if someone gets caught with drugs or in trouble with the police, you get rid of them.
Yep.
Regardless if they paid or not, right?
Yep. I don't mess around with people that mess around with the property or do any drugs or do any crime on the property. It's not acceptable at all. If it's a big strike, 1 strike and you're out. If it's a small strike, 2 strikes and they're out. Fool me 1 time, shame on me. Fool me twice, shame on me.
Yeah.
I think for now I'm okay with that. I don't know how anyone else feels.
Okay. I mean, back to my question again. You're satisfied with changes that have been submitted, or?
Yes, reasonably satisfied with the anxieties that have been mentioned, and so if there's some sort of a continuing monitoring collaboration process, I think that would be beneficial.
Okay.
Well, I think we all want to see this thing improved.
Mm-hmm.
We've wanted to see this thing improved.
We need investment in this building, and we want to see
our level best with the previous owner. And he just ended up, up and doing what he did, selling it. Didn't even really tell us.
Yeah.
But doesn't matter. But I was disappointed he talked a lot, but he didn't
show it,
do it. And so we're just, I think everybody just wants to see this thing turned into something good that will be good for downtown.
Yeah.
Have you talked to Brian? He owns the depot behind you. Have you talked to him about?
Yeah, he owns the one next to us on Myers and High Street.
Yeah.
Too. So yeah, we've been in collaboration.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Because that was always a concern of his too, because they would go and break into the depot and it's just,
we don't want that. We want everything to be nicer over in that area. And as Wes started with, there's been less calls than there has been in a while over at the property since we've gained ownership in 2023.
Actually, we want it to be a place where you would stay.
Yeah, exactly.
Right?
That's
where the owner would stay.
Absolutely.
Right?
Yeah.
Absolutely.
That's important.
Yes.
Yeah.
Got it.
Okay.
Yeah, I think you guys will see that, we're going to follow through with what we say we're going to do. We, own other properties in the city. We want to have a good relationship with you guys, and we're excited to show you what we're capable of doing if you guys give us the chance. So we'll definitely continue to work with you guys, and I like the ideas of having bi-monthly meetings with AJ or whatever needs to be done, because that collaboration from you guys is really huge. I think open communication and the collaboration just makes everything so much easier. And yeah, we're excited to move forward.
Thank you.
And Glenn, like you had said, we can bring in code enforcement, we can bring in OPD,
Yeah.
anybody that we need to, the county, if there's any housing behavior issues, et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah, that's the
I think that really helps too, having you guys be on the property more. Obviously, we're going to do everything we can, but humans are unpredictable sometimes. So any sort of law enforcement or things like that on the property always helps to kind of keep people in line as well. I know the onus is on us.
Yeah, I
for
mean,
the
obviously,
most-
you pick the tenants, right? You pick the occupants who come into your motel, right? So
Yep.
Yeah.
you gotta,
Pick the right ones.
you gotta pick
Yep.
the right ones, right? The one they got luggage, they don't got luggage. I mean,
Yeah. Right now, I think there's a good group of people. There's really relatively no problems that I've had in the last 6 months comparison to most of our other properties.
Yeah.
So it's actually it's pretty good.
I think as you fix it up and you charge a little bit more,
Yeah.
You'll get a better, you get better occupancy.
Yep.
And we'll have done our job. We have helped you help us improve the city.
Sounds good.
That's what we want.
Yeah. Yep.
And so,
Totally.
So to clarify, you're basically going to be charging right about $30 a day or so in room rent. And then 9% of that will, of course, come to the city.
Yes.
So you might need to bump that up.
And
to
2%
charge
to the
And 2%
downtown. So it's
to the-
11%.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The big.
so
that's on
the
top of it.
the hotel tax is how much?
It's 9% for the business improvement district, and it's 2% for Explore Butte County and the marketing effort that's going on, tourism marketing.
So it's
effort.
11%
It's 11%.
per day or per stay per day.
Per dollar that you get for the
per dollar, yeah.
it's your dollar, not your cleaning if you do an Airbnb, but it's the dollar amount that you're renting the room for.
So $800 a month. So it's going to be what, like $82 on that is the city's fee. What do you call that? The temporary? No, what's it called?
TOT or
TOT.
bed tax for short.
Bed tax. So it's the same as every motel pays.
Yep.
Every motel.
Okay. Okay. Got
Yeah,
it.
so we're gonna A/B test that rate and see where we fall with that. 800 is what we're charging right now. That may change in the future, but we'll evaluate as it evolves. Also, with the upstairs rates will be different than the downstairs rates because the downstairs rooms are more desirable.
Yeah.
So that's really going to work on the upstairs then. We have what, 29 units with one shared kitchen and a shared bathroom, or shared men's and a shared women's bathroom?
Correct. Yeah. We have a property that we've done this with successfully in Marysville for 3 years now.
I mean, would that be a hostel or?
That's what it kind of reminds me of.
Yeah.
Kind of.
Essentially.
If you'd have to really manage it to keep it
We got it.
clean and make it the best that it could be, given the fact that it is like a hostel.
So are you updating all the electrical in all these units and everything?
We're doing the kitchenettes and then we're upgrading the electrical per the circuits, and I have a licensed electrician that's gonna be evaluating that at the time of the building review.
Yeah, because I mean, if you got people using computers and phones, I mean, this building was never set up 50, 60 years ago for anything remotely like that.
Yeah, my
With
electrician.
kitchenettes and microwaves and things, you're going to be popping breakers left and right.
Yeah. I mean, maybe Tyler could hop in here for a second. Maybe he has a more knowledgeable opinion at this. Are you?
Yeah, basically, long story short, just on the kitchenettes alone, that's going to be our biggest draw for additional power that it wasn't designed for. We're definitely going to have our electrician go through everything that he needs to make sure we add enough service to take care of that. And the same will be true of any other electrical upgrades we do throughout the building.
There was a few code enforcement issues that were addressed in 2021 with the panels that needed to be upgraded, and we're going to be addressing that as well. So everything that's been addressed to previous ownership, or any issues are going to be resolved, and that's all been submitted in our set of plans with those revisions and bringing the property up to code as the city wants to see.
Yeah, and we even have a few notes to that effect in this set of plans that address the code enforcement comments the city was concerned about from a letter dated back of March of this year, I believe. But we've
Yeah, you're right.
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
You're right, because at that time, Allison came out and reevaluated what happened previously from the previous situation, because we didn't actually, the city didn't acknowledge that it was red tagged until 3 months of ownership after we had it. We didn't even know we couldn't rent out the upstairs, and one day it got called out and was like, you can't rent out any of these up here. And then we were like, huh?
Oh, you weren't told that when you
Nope.
bought it?
3 months in, and then she drafted up all that stuff, and then so that's what we're going off of, and that's of March of this year.
I mean, I mean, I'm not a fan of the upstairs at all. The design, I mean, common. I mean, I wouldn't do it. My wife, I wouldn't do it and have a common bathroom. Where she, you know what I mean? It's not. I mean, don't get me wrong. I mean, I'm assuming it's a needed thing.
We agree with you.
But I don't like that. I don't.
The other part about changing the structure now triggers the impact fees as well.
Right.
So what we're trying to say is we're just trying to get by and get this done so that we can get the money to get to the next point.
Right. No, but I think any way you could get away from that upstairs design of having the common kitchen and having a common bathroom, I would definitely try to get away from that.
It could be commercial upstairs.
Yeah.
You know, I would definitely try to get away from that.
Yeah.
So that's my thoughts.
Yeah, I believe the current units upstairs are they're 80 square feet. That's 8 by 10. So just not enough room unless we completely reconfigure the upstairs area. So that's kind of the roadblock we're running into, and that's why a lot of the driving force of us trying to just get it up to speed as it's currently configured, and then once it's operating, then we can talk about additional changes that can improve quality of life up there.
Make it a lounge, serve you breakfast. What are those places they serve the breakfast in the mornings or whatever?
Yeah.
You know?
Bed and breakfast?
Yeah. You know, something like that.
Kind of like a boarding house, a little bit.
The hostel notion, could work for group sporting events coming in, high school visits and other kinds of competitions and things like that for group rates. So there's an opportunity there to do some marketing.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
So did we have any agreement for the colors? Everybody just likes the solid
I
color?
like the blue.
I like scheme 1A.
I like the blue. 1A. I like the blue
like 1A
with the
myself.
cupolas where you could see them.
Okay, so 2 for 1A. What do you like, Warren?
You know what I feel about color, but 1A is fine for me.
Okay, so somebody will have to get creative with a motion when you're ready and trying to encompass whatever we've talked about for the last hour.
Wow.
Well, we're not really adding anything to the conditions, are we, or
Just
anything
the
like that?
meetings, like bi-monthly meetings?
Yeah, because I mean that's would that be added to the conditions for the permit, or that's
Or
just
recommend?
or is that just something that we're going to do?
I
as a
would
city?
suggest that it be added as a condition, regular meetings, bi-monthly meetings with applicant. Sort of like a
There's a lot of
development
conditions
agreement.
here. From what I'm going by memory from reading this like 3 days ago. I didn't remember hearing anything that I don't remember seeing here other than that. So. Okay.
Well, and I know that the goal in the packet is for SRO. And I don't know if we need to, but you're open to larger apartments. But I don't know if that has anything to do.
I think that's in like the background general discussion,
Okay.
but there's nothing in the
Nothing to
use
say about
permit
it.
or the conditions of approval that push them toward an
That push it,
SRO.
okay.
This is pushing toward
That's what I want to make
a
sure
motel use.
for now.
We want to use it as it was intended to be used until we can come up with the funds or the brain power or the ideas that can allow us to either address the impact fees or slash the impact fees and make it into apartments. But at this time, we're not able to do that, and we've been trying to do that for months.
Are the impact
unsuccessfully.
fees the same for apartments and SRO? The same fee?
It was my understanding that it was.
I don't know the answer to that.
Okay.
How often do we recommend a consultation with DRC?
This is the first time in the 4 years I've been here.
Would this be something that we have to pay for monthly to come to the DRC?
No, I don't think so, right? No,
No.
right? No.
No. Yeah.
Like,
It's like another
You're
impact
trying to
secret.
lessen your fees, not add to them.
I'm just making sure. That was a question that
every,
came up.
like a report every 3 months, or what? I don't know what's reasonable. I mean, we're going to be
3 months. That's
advising
like
them.
quarterly.
Yeah.
Does that seem reasonable?
Yeah.
Quarterly?
Whatever's up to you guys. It could be. It doesn't have to be a DRC. It could be a DRC. I'm open to whatever's you guys want to go with.
What
Doesn't
do you
need to be a
suggest,
full
Wes?
commission.
Like you were saying twice a month, like
Yeah.
once a month?
Well, I would
I would
suggest
say
maybe start with bi-monthly.
Yeah, I think that's good.
every 2 months.
2 months, all right.
Bi-monthly, I think is good. 3 months is too long, 1 month's too short.
Okay.
But you're trying to complete this by June, right, or June or July?
Yeah. My ultimate goal is March.
So every
that's what I got
in
my-
2 months, you plan on having a lot done.
Yeah. Yeah.
March is pretty
We'll
optimistic.
have one update
Yep.
by then.
Yeah. That's my goal. It's better to shoot for March than to shoot for June because then June turns into August.
Of course.
So
Yeah.
make it everything in my power to get it done.
All right, so if no one else is going to take the plunge here, I guess I'll go
We're
ahead
waiting
and
for
do
you.
that.
It's easier for us to second all the stuff you're going to say.
Sure, sure. Okay, so I'm going to move to adopt the notice of exemption. That's as appropriate level of environmental review. Approving the use permit 23-12 with the findings and conditions, with the added condition that we see a presentation at the DRC every 2 months.
What type of
Every two.
Can I
He's
stop you
doing
real
number
quick?
three
Yes.
right
What
now,
type
and
of
he's gonna be
presentation would you like to see? Like a slideshow of the progress, or just a general? Is
I
it a
think we
general
want
presentation?
to we want to help move
Did
the
he say that?
project
Yeah,
along.
22-12.
No, he's
That's
doing this
my
right now, and he's
understanding.
gonna do this one.
Okay.
So what about bi-monthly reporting and mutual problem solving?
I like problem solving. Yes.
That sounds good with me. Cool.
Okay. I will accept that. And with the recommendation of the color scheme included in, which direction is this? I don't know. Okay.
What would you like me to do?
The color scheme that is in example or scheme 1A.
With black trim or with not?
1A, I don't,
I
are
don't
there
thi-
two
I don't-
1As?
I
There's,
don't think we,
1A is supposed to have a black trim on it.
there's two
It
1As.
says.
two 1As, I guess. Is there two 1As? Oh, there
Yeah.
is two 1As.
Oh
Look at
shoot!
that.
I'm sorry about that.
Okay, so
I didn't mean to throw you guys for a loop.
the second 1A, the one that has the dark paint
Okay,
on it with the yellow stripe.
nice.
Oh, wow, okay.
That
That's
was
the
one.
one we were
That was the
talking
one
about.
Warren thought he was talking.
No, which one?
No,
They were talking about.
I'm
Jay
sorry,
Doran.
guys.
Okay, so
go
we're
back.
tied,
I'm
we're
talking
tied
about
for
this
both
one.
1As.
That one, I was
Okay,
talking
see, I
about.
So
was looking
both
at this
1As
one.
are tied, right? Do you like this one?
Wait,
I'm
is that
fine
is
with
that
that.
the?
That looks like a the retro.
This is the one you like, right?
I
With
like
the
both.
black
I
trim.
like both of them. It's tomato.
Do we want to, since we're 2 and 2, do we want to give the applicant
him.
the option between either of the 1As?
Yes.
As
long as there's
I'm not
black
a fan
trim.
of the dark with the yellow stripe. Oh, my God.
Okay,
But
and I'm not totally a
matter.
fan of this. So then I think they pick.
Michael, do you want to chirp in here?
Was that convoluted enough for you?
Remember that old building?
Who's
by the
recording
hospital?
this? Is this
Let's
is this
revisit-
Wes, Kayla?
let's
Or you got
revisit
it? You
with-
got it? Oh, good for you. You're the best.
Either
then.
1A.
Why do we have two scheme 1A? I don't understand.
That's
He
just
did- It's
a mistake.
mislabeling.
It's a mistake. He didn't mean to.
Yeah.
A minus?
I'm sorry.
I want A
I
plus.
didn't
We're
mean to
picking
throw
them
you guys
both.
for such a loop.
And then letting him pick.
Okay.
I had my guy redesign it, and then I added that one back on there, and I didn't realize it was 1A. I apologize for that.
So was that a complete motion, or was he?
Are we? Was that a complete motion then? Okay, thank you.
Where?
Do we need to address anything about the 29-day stay in moving rooms? Because I know that was
That's
a
right.
question.
We didn't, we agreed with that?
I have no other opinion on it. No other recommendation.
Well, the applicant has stated that that's what they're going to do, so
Okay.
we'll hold them to that, to it.
Okay.
And then Warren, I'm so sorry, there is one more
what's that?
motion, which is to adopt resolution number 2023-30. That's going to be action number 4. As
What page is
agenda.
that on?
No,
where did my,
It'll be item.
Oh, number
with
3.
operation.
did I lose my agenda? Oh, it's in back here. Okay.
It looks like you hit the first 3.
And then, yeah, I got the first 3, and then the, yes, what is resolution 2023-30?
That is on page 107.
I don't know what I'm moving for here. Okay. That's kind of the same thing there. Findings for the use permit.
And the conditions are identical.
Yeah, okay, I'll include in the motion adopting resolution 2023-30.
Perfect.
And
We
thank
just
you,
need a
Kayla.
second. Thank you.
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Open voting.
Motion passes unanimously.
Thank you.
We made you work for it, didn't
Thank
we?
you. I
This
appreciate
was,
it.
you worked
Thank you.
really hard.
Can I have a
Thanks,
few
guys.
questions that I wanted to address real quick about what was sent beforehand and about where we can moving forward? I saw and kind of some of the conditions, number 20, it says all grading, paving, excavation, and site clearance, including that which is exempt from obtaining a permit. And then it goes on to say some stuff saying you need to follow these codes while you do it. Does that mean that we could start that work as of tomorrow? I don't have anybody lined up, but I'm trying to get my subs going and the project rolling. And I'm not going to do anything that hasn't been required through the anything that requires a permit. But I wanted to start some of the excavation, some of the paving, and some of the grading for the trash enclosure and some other aspects. Would that be okay? I was just going off of what was said on number 20, the condition.
Would you be able to wait until January 2nd when the city engineer comes back?
Yeah, if I could wait till then to get
clear it with him?
Yeah, because I'm going to get people lined up next week, and then from there I'm probably
Okay.
get a start date of past then. Yeah.
Because all of that is subject to the agreement of the city engineer.
Okay, so all that. My also question was number 24 with the written agreement with the city attorney is exempt from maintaining a. Oh, sorry. Yeah, the written agreement with the city attorney. What is that going to be looking like, or should that something to talk about?
That's our standard landscape maintenance agreement, which I'll send you the template for.
Okay.
And we can work that out.
Okay. And then the business license, do I just need to apply for that permit, or how does that work?
Yeah,
Okay.
it's a $50 or $100 depending on your classification.
Okay. That was all my questions. Thank you, guys.
One more
Thank you.
thing. One more thing.
Okay.
The permit says Beck Asset Management, but the ownership is BAM Properties LLC. So I just wanted to see if we could change that on the use permit so that it's correct.
Yeah, damn, that was the next question.
Would you send me an email to that effect so we can
Yeah.
make that a legal
Yep.
change?
Awesome. Thank you guys so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Nice.
Thank you.
Were there any other, before I sign off here, were there any other questions on the current set of plans, or are you guys good?
No, we've already voted on it, so we can't.
Cool.
Thank you.
All right. Just making sure. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Have a good night.
Thanks.
Thank you very much.
And that was what item? That was.
We're gonna do one more, we're gonna.
Well,
push
now
it
we
off.
have ADU, so I don't know.
ADU. I think it is.
I think so.
You got a lot of comments on it?
It just seems like we don't have a lot of options.
Well,
Long.
Right.
How,
Yeah, well, I think it's just where the red lines were the updates, right?
well, I don't know. I have a lot
Lots of notes.
I have a lot of questions.
I have to apologize for the red lines here. The red lines were the edits to the penultimate version of the staff report.
Okay, so that wasn't just the only new things in it. That was
No,
just okay.
it's all new to you,
Okay.
The whole thing.
the whole thing.
Well, we have a lot of highlighter use over here, so there may be a lot of discussion. at this late of an hour.
We have Lark McNeil, who's our consultant on this. You're familiar with her. She's worked on the food truck village ordinance and such. So she'll make a presentation. I will say that we don't necessarily need to complete this at this sitting. We can continue it at any time. The city council agendas are stacked up through the end of January, so this wouldn't go to city council until February anyway. So,
okay.
So there is some time to mull it over and take Lark's presentation and think about it all. So,
Would you guys be okay, just a presentation and then continuation?
We're okay. Then we're on vacation.
Okay. And without a full commission, what about the DRC? Should we postpone that also? For electing a new member of the DRC?
If you would like, yes. Marissa is the only member of the commission that has not been on the DRC, and she is not here tonight, so I don't know what your guys' thinking is.
Okay, so we'll get the presentation in for this then, and then we'll kind of get things wrapping up. Okay. Item number 2, please, staff report.
Thank you, commissioners. Thank you, Wes. This is Lark McNeil for the Inter-West Planning Group, and this evening before you is modifications to the city's municipal code 17.16.010 accessory dwelling units. I appreciate the fact that the commission recognizes right off the bat that the city has very few options in these proposed ordinance changes. The city can either move forward and adopt them, or the state will simply say anyone who comes into the counter can apply for the permits that are already outlined in this ordinance, whether or not the city adopts the ordinance. It's a bitter pill, in my opinion. I used to work for the department that will be reviewing this proposed ordinance. When you came to the meeting this evening, there was a piece of paper and your chair provided by Wes. I'm just going to address these right up front. I'm proposing 3 changes to the ordinance before you, and on page, I believe it's 27 of your packet.
That's the green sheet of paper that's there. Yeah.
That's the green sheet of paper. Mm-hmm. And I reviewed some comments from the state on other agencies' accessory dwelling units, and the first thing I noted was the state is requiring that these ordinances state that a proposed residence and garage be defined in this ordinance, because otherwise you would be precluding the garage from being converted into an accessory dwelling unit, which is what the state determined. I'm not sure I've ever run into an agency that made that determination, but we do need to change or add "and garage" for the accessory dwelling unit. And also for the for the junior accessory dwelling unit on page 29, under definition F, we need to add the word "and garage" to the phrase "within an existing single-family residence and garage." On page 32, item 15, for an attached accessory dwelling unit, the total floor space may not exceed 1,000 square feet. And then I've crossed off or 50% of the floor area of the existing or proposed single-family dwelling. This is language that is already in the city's ordinance, but the state law no longer allows cities to use lot coverage or percentage of existing floor area to as a measure for determining the size of an accessory dwelling unit. Now, the city's current municipal code does allow an attached unit with total floor area may not exceed 1,000 square feet. So I left that language alone. You do have the ability to change that number to 800 square feet, which is the minimum square footage allowed by the new state law. So with that, those proposed changes, let me go back and start with the staff report. We're asking that you conduct a public hearing this evening. We're asking that you recommend to the City Council adopt the Notice of an Exemption for Environmental Quality, California Environmental Quality Act. We ask that you or recommend that you adopt the recommended findings for the ordinance and that you adopt the resolution before you. The state has made some significant changes in state law regarding accessory dwelling units in 2022 and 2023. State law now says that local agencies can regulate construction of 3 different types of accessory dwelling units: a detached or standalone accessory dwelling unit, an attached accessory dwelling unit, or a junior accessory dwelling unit. A junior accessory dwelling unit is defined as a unit of no more than 500 square feet that is within an existing resident or a proposed residence. It's contained within a building, that structure. It does need to have its own separate entrance and exit, but it can share bathroom and kitchen facilities with the primary unit. I know when you looked at this unit, you probably thought, wow, this is pretty detailed and a little fiddly with these definitions and, very specific. Oh, if it's this height, you can have, if the primary structure is this height, you can go up to this height with an accessory unit. But that's what the state law says. And if the city's ordinance doesn't say this, then when HCD reviews this ordinance, they're going to send a comment letter back to the city saying, you did not, clarify the state's requirements sufficiently in this ordinance, so we're going to have to change it. So it's just better to give them what they want up front. And again, these are kind of bitter words for me to be saying, because I did spend 25 years working for local agencies. I know how important it is to local communities to be setting their own tone, to be setting their own standards, but the state has simply preempted cities and counties in this item.
Let me interject very quickly that this is one of the requirements or promises we made in the housing element to get it adopted to update this ordinance. So.
That's true. Thank you, Wes. One of the few areas where the city does have any ability to be flexible is you can place restrictions so that the ADUs would be required to be long-term rentals of at least 30 days. I understand that current municipal code allows 60 days as the limit or the standard for short-term rentals. So we're recommending that all accessory dwelling units or junior accessory dwelling units be rented out for no less than 60 days to be consistent with the other portion of the municipal code. I've also proposed language in here that a deed restriction be recorded with the property where an accessory dwelling unit is constructed, that lets everyone know that it's recorded in the county recorder's office. These are the restrictions, and you can't rent these units out for less than however many days this city determines. And this will help prevent Airbnbs from being established in accessory dwelling units. And when I use this term accessory dwelling units, I mean attached, detached, or junior accessory dwelling units interchangeably. The state had separately passed a law last year which allowed all residential properties to be split in half through a process called SB 9. So detached accessory units can now be legally subdivided off from the original parcel. There is a provision in SB 9, though, that if you split an original subdivided property, you cannot split it further. So you won't see, every single family lot in the city suddenly be split in two and then split again. It can only be split once. I'm not sure how much comfort that provides you. the city can also make the determination that you want to allow more accessory dwelling units on a property. Right now, this ordinance states that in compliance with state law, the city will allow a junior accessory dwelling unit, which would be part of an existing or proposed primary residence, and a detached accessory dwelling unit. So you could have up to 3 units on every residential property. And before we start seeing images of ADUs popping up all over the city, if you move to the discussion on page, begins at the bottom of page 23, you'll note that the state has allowed ADUs for years. Not many accessory dwelling units were actually constructed because of the high cost of doing so. But there have been changes in state law. There have been changes in the way the mortgage and the appraisal industries are looking at accessory dwelling units. And last year, the State Department of Finance stated that there were 20,638 accessory units constructed statewide in 2023. When you consider the state of how large California is, 20,000 is not a lot. It certainly doesn't make much of a dent in the outstanding need for housing in the state, but it is a step, I think, in the right direction in terms of owners of single-family homes being able to control, to some degree, what happens on their property. There's a relatively high cost for constructing ADUs. It's about $159,000 to $200,000 per unit, which does not include city permit fees. And I want to stick with fees here for a second. What we're seeing at the counter, people are coming in for accessory dwelling units of basically no larger than 499 square feet. That's because once you go to a unit that's 500 square feet or larger, school fees can be applied to that entire unit. And school fees right now are $4.79 a square foot. So that would add the considerable cost once you stepped over that line from 499 square feet to 500 square feet. And just to give you an idea, your standard garage is 20 by 20, which is 400 square feet. So a lot of the ADUs that we're seeing right now are just over the size of a typical garage. The other break point for accessory dwelling units is most accessory dwelling units, if they're over 500 square feet, they are no larger than 750 square feet. Once a unit is larger than 750 square feet, a city or a county is able to apply a proportional share of a regular connection fee for sewer or water to that building permit. So again, your fees would jump considerably once you cross over 750 square feet. And there's a description further on page 24 of the staff report regarding a state exemption ADU, which is not specifically allowed, or excuse me, not specifically mentioned in the ordinance, but it doesn't need to be mentioned in the ordinance. I'm just letting you know that the state law says that there is a state exemption ADU, and we quote the government code section, that everyone has a right for an accessory dwelling unit on their property that's up to 800 square feet in size, maximum height of 16 feet, with a 4-foot side and rear yard setback. Everyone in the state has the right to construct such an ADU on his or her property. And again, I provided an example. This would be the size of 2 typical residential garages next to each other. So 800 square feet isn't that large. I know you were just discussing a project that had SROs with 10 by 10 units. And let's face it, those are incredibly small. But those are SROs and not dwelling units. I used to live in a house in the Bay Area that was 890 square feet. And it was cozy, I'll admit it, but it was quite doable. Then let's see, let me go back, or not back, but let's just talk about development standards. Let's get out of these. The city's zoning ordinance currently allows a 20-foot front yard setback in the RL zone and a 15-foot front yard setback in the R1 district. The proposed ordinance requires a minimum 20-foot side yard setback unless adherence to that setback prevents an ADU of at least 800 square feet from being constructed on the property. That language, unless adherence to that setback prevents an ADU of at least 800 square feet from being constructed on a property, comes straight out of state law. We had proposed, getting a 20-foot front yard setback because that would allow a car to be parked in front of the accessory dwelling unit within that 20-foot front yard setback. However, the law says I'm sorry, this is so fiddly sometimes. Excuse me. We have to allow flexibility as much as possible to allow accessory dwelling units on lots and residential lots in the city. And in addition to residential lots, this also includes mixed use lots, which include residential uses as a proposed use. It does not apply for mixed use areas that do not allow residential uses.
Hey, Lark.
Yes.
I'm noticing some glazed eyes here. Did you folks want to take
I'm sorry. No, I
it's
get
not
it.
you. It's not you. It's been a long night. Did you want to take a 5-minute break or do you want to just keep going?
If the commission wants to take a 5-minute break, that's fine.
No, I just have a question. I mean, the first 3 pages in the small print, these are going to be the new state laws, right?
That's a summary.
Pages 23, 24, and 25, and 26.
That's a summary of what
Of the new laws.
Explaining them, yeah.
It's a summary of what's in our.
These 4 pages are a summary of what is already in our current ordinance?
Or what is in
The proposed ordinance, the language of that ordinance actually starts on page 27.
Correct.
The page 24 and all of that is Lark's explanation of state law and how we're adopting it or adapting to
So
it.
has that been adopted into our draft?
Yeah. She put it in.
Yes.
It's just not read in the draft.
So if the ADU is 750 square feet or less, there's no impact fees, correct?
That's correct.
Correct.
And then you can subdivide and split off a detached ADU if you wanted to sell it.
Correct.
But the JADU that's connected to the building, obviously you cannot condo that or sell that, correct?
Correct.
I also see that there's something about nonprofits in here selling.
I know, I don't get why that's there.
Yeah, do you have to offer it to a nonprofit first?
I will tell you specifically, the short answer is, the HCD is requiring that language in every city's ordinance. I've read comment letters from HCD on other cities' accessory dwelling units. And if that language is not in the ordinance, HCD will send us a letter and say it needs to be in.
The language that if a nonprofit owns an ADU, it has to stay with a nonprofit?
Yes, ma'am.
We do have CHIP and we do have the Housing Authority and the North State Housing something as well, and they own property around and they develop properties. So this might be something that they might want to take advantage of at some point.
So on page 29, item D, how are you going to do that? And you don't know what size. Is there a standard size that you're going to be doing? Is there multiple choice plans?
For the pre-approved building plans?
Correct.
Yes. Wes, feel free to jump in, but what I've seen in other communities is most communities will offer a plan that's at 499 square feet, so you can So you can purchase the right to use those plans to build a accessory dwelling unit of no more than 499 square feet, so they don't have to pay school impact fees. You'll typically see another set of plans that are available for a ADU that's 750 square feet, a detached unit, so they don't have to pay the sewer and water connection impact fees. And then they typically have 1,000 square foot accessory dwelling unit, which would be subject to a proportional percentage of the impact fees.
This is
So most cities and counties provide 3 different plans.
This is something that we considered early on because it was an incentive to help people build housing. Chico has done so. They have several plans. You can look at their website for pre-approved plans, so that your building permit is almost perfunctory. We did not do that because there is a cost involved in preparing these plans and working with architects and getting licenses to offer these things and such. So we will, starting January 1st, 2025, and we won't be in a rush to do so.
Okay. And the other thing is that, so are we trying to say that you cannot Airbnb your ADU? Is that what we're doing?
That's
correct.
But that's
correct.
Why?
That's what you put in the ordinance, or
question
that's
I have.
yeah, or is that what the state is requiring?
No, that's what the state is allowing you to do that. And
So
so
why
I
are we
put
not?
that in the ordinance.
I think we should allow
Why can't we allow it to be Airbnb?
Mm-hmm.
We can. There are actually 87 Airbnbs in the Airbnb marketing material in Oroville, and I'm not aware of how many actually pay TOT tax. I think probably a handful, 3 or 4 at most.
Really?
87 Airbnbs?
There are. So
So you would collect the tax on that like a motel?
Yeah,
yeah,
I
we'll
pay
have to
once a
go.
month.
We'll have to go
So you
after
pay
them.
on yours. Okay, and are yours
Yeah, it's 11%.
11%?
City of what's the
Like I'm contributing.
beach town right next to Monterey?
I know Tahoe has a
Lake
problem with
Grove,
it.
yeah. They found that they had over 200 Airbnbs and were not collecting any TOT tax. So they sent out letters and started collecting that, and it was a nice little shot in the arm to the city's.
Well, I mean,
Airbnb is
I would
very
think that,
clear
if you're going
you
to
have to
Airbnb
pay.
I
it,
was wondering why
You have to get
why
a-
we were doing that. So
would there be just
I'm
like
okay
a
with
business
allowing
license? And then, you, just like we handled
too, and I can't think of any.
McGuire Suites, every 30 days, we give the city their 11% tax. Every 30 days, right? You give
Yep.
them the money.
Yep. It's coming up
Okay.
December 31st.
That's why I think, I don't know, I mean, I would like to have more
This
time
is-
to go over this before I would vote on anything.
Yeah.
Okay, it is your prerogative to choose to eliminate that section of the ordinance. You don't have to have a deed restriction. The state allows you to. And most communities that I work with now choose to do that because they do not want to promote Airbnbs. They want to set a limit on it.
Well, other places probably have greater housing shortages than we have here too, and we want to promote tourism. So
If you want to remove it,
it sounds like we
please
have.
do.
It sounds like we have a consensus on the commission present that we do want to remove that provision.
Absolutely.
But
We will do so.
But we will continue reviewing.
Yeah.
I've been through this before because I went to DRC.
Yeah.
But yeah, any time you need.
Yeah.
So
I did have-
if any commissioners actually have Airbnbs or ADUs,
Oh, I have to be
please
exempt?
do not acknowledge that. Yeah, publicly. We'll just keep moving.
No idea what you're talking about.
Yes. Do not know. I'm just thinking for.
Does the commission want to just dive right into the ordinance itself?
It's getting pretty late. Would you mind if we continue this to our?
It's your pleasure.
Yeah.
Can we continue it? I want to go over it over the holiday and make notes. This is a very important thing for the city.
Yeah, I think it would be, we have a consensus with the commission to continue this.
Yeah, you more than anybody is going to be familiar with the ins and outs of something like this.
I
So
think it needs to, this can't be
I'd like
rushed.
your opinion.
This can't be rushed.
Well, thank you for your presentation. We will.
You're welcome.
We will try to continue to January if possible.
That would be January 25th.
Okay.
And then we will also continue item number, what's the last one? 7. So we will close our regular meeting and let's see, do we have any reports?
We do. Now, I have a couple of them. One of them is kind of shared with Commissioner Sheard here. So let's talk about ours first, the one that we have together.
Okay.
So Commissioner Sheard and I, we met with city staff, including engineering, on a couple of things that we're both kind of bringing forward. One of those is the idea about bringing some traffic calming devices to Montgomery Street, particularly between downtown and Highway 70, just for safety of pedestrians and the residents that live in the corridor. I'd presented an idea about creating using paint to artificially narrow the lanes and create a striped protected area between the traffic lanes and the parking.
I'm sorry.
On Montgomery Street between downtown and the freeway. To wherever it would start downtown. We didn't get, we're not that specific.
I think the goal is to slow the
Where
traffic.
the residents start, not necessarily the commercial
we're starting the conversation is what we're doing.
Yeah.
We wanted to present these ideas particularly to the engineering staff to get their opinions, let them think about it, and tell us what we need to think about and what we need to do to make something like this happen. They in addition included a proposal to also do some bulbing around each of the intersections, still using paint, to narrow the pedestrian crossings at each intersection, taking out 1 or 2 parking spaces in each block in order to accomplish that.
The new law, I think, next year.
New law of what?
You have to park, you can't be 20 feet on a corner. You have to be back. Nobody can park in that.
Okay, you have to have.
Everyone has to park 20 feet
back. You
back.
have a 20-foot
Yes.
site triangle.
Yes.
From the corners.
Yes.
Yeah, it would include this. It would include visibility for traffic coming onto Montgomery from a cross street, plus provide a shorter crossing for pedestrians. I liked that idea. I thought that was a good idea. So anyway, we presented that to engineering with the instruction to think about this. Let us know what we need to think about, what we might not be considering, and we're going to need to come back to them probably early next year and probably set up another meeting to
Because
see
there is
what-
a grand plan. The general plan is great, and there's a great grand plan for bike lanes and slowing traffic, but it's huge. And I just want to look at just Montgomery, just see if we can slow it down and make it safer.
Yeah.
The residents it's hard.
Yeah, and we also talked to them about increasing our bicycle infrastructure. I would like to see us have an actual plan instead of doing it piecemeal whenever we're doing a repaving or around town. Right now our bicycle plan looks like we take a bunch of strands of spaghetti, drop them on the floor, and hey, that looks like our bicycle plan. My idea would be to make sure that we connect all of our residential areas, or particularly residential areas that have a higher low-income, percentage of residents around downtown. And there's one to the north, the south, and somewhat to the west, but to be able to connect them together, and then to connect them through downtown, because that's also a way to do a couple of things: is try and bring more people downtown, but also provide an infrastructure that would be nice for recreation for anybody around here. So.
It's on the table for
Are they
them.
still doing that?
I don't know, but yeah, that would be cool. But
I'd like to see.
exactly.
I'd like to see shoulder widening.
So would I.
Yeah.
But I thought I don't know what we can officially do to bring it back, to look at it and come up with ideas. That's what I think we're asking.
Yeah. So I think right now we're just reporting on what we're doing. If there's any comments or anybody wants to further participate in what we're trying to accomplish, then we're certainly welcome. So.
No, I think that's good. Along those lines, I have another comment that we need to also need to consider is 3 days this week I came from Lower Wyandotte to Olive Highway at the Starbucks right there in the corner. Okay, so it's very congested there. So in front of that driveway going into the Starbucks, the Lower Wyandotte Drive road, we need to paint that, say keep clear, because you got people who are coming off of Olive Highway, turning right onto Wyandotte to go into the Starbucks, but you have people waiting in line to make a left on the Olive Highway or right. So then you got car stacking right there, and then you got car stacking right there when they're going in to make their order.
Yeah.
So we need to keep that driveway open.
Yeah, and
because it creates even in the evening at 3:30, Olive Highway is backed up.
Yep.
Yeah, and I think that should be part of a larger plan of some sort of traffic capacity expansion, mitigation, something along Olive Highway from Oro Dam to Foothill. I know there's a plan, and I keep hearing that there's a plan. I'm not seeing a plan. I don't know.
Expansion. I mean, you got one lane there is wide enough for me. I don't know, but it just doesn't flow very well.
Right.
There's enough room to make it 4 lanes.
But that's a state highway.
Yeah.
So you can't.
Surveyed, and I believe Dawn's doing something soon.
I mean, they did a lot of work to it already, right?
Yeah, the past footnote, I believe the city portion is supposed to.
Oh, all right. Because I mean, it's.
That's true. That's moving forward. I believe construction is going to start this spring, so I think we're on track for that.
Good.
And
is there a way to keep that to paint in the street to keep clear? It's like stay out of the intersection, but people don't do that.
Specifically at the Starbucks?
Yes, try going there.
We have given them the use permit, and of course, you folks all discussed that as well, with the condition that if congestion became too much of a problem, that the street is wide enough to do something else to require stacking or something there.
So with the conditional use permit, is that something we can ask Starbucks to do for us then?
That's what I'm thinking, yeah.
Paint the street?
That's what I'm thinking.
Right, but people should really be turning right into that rather than trying to turn left, but they're not, and that's the issue. And sometimes the solution to that is to put up a concrete divider through there, so you can't turn left. Right, you could. Yeah. You could. Starbucks is one of the conditions to fix that. So you either put a little concrete strip in the middle that everybody's going to hit with their car, right? Because they're going to see, they're not going to see it at night.
Just what they did on Olive, and they have not done on Lower Wyandotte.
So would we like to instruct staff to reach out to Starbucks to start a conversation about how we're going to? I agree. I agree with you on this.
It's tough to park in there, and the parking. I mean, I don't know if this was before our time. I don't even remember this Starbucks, but getting out of there and coming in from Olive Highway, it's so narrow, and But again, the driveway that's on Lower Wyandotte across from the Tower Mart, you get car stacking in there all the time. So
I've seen it myself, yeah,
People who
you're
were
right.
making a left.
Especially right after school.
Yeah, if it's open like this, people who are coming, they can just go right in. Right, if this is clear, but if not,
Anytime you turn through traffic.
Can you turn Wyatt's thing on?
It's just dangerous.
So
yeah,
Very dangerous to do, to stop people, especially, light turns when somebody's turned, it's just very
no,
dangerous.
I know.
Well,
I'm just trying to figure out the solution.
Yeah, well, tell you what.
For people to turn
Okay,
right in
well,
and out is the safest.
I say we let the professionals come up with a plan for us. We can identify an issue that we would like to have addressed.
The engineers always come
But-
up with, this is all you'll ever
Yeah.
get, and
Yeah.
you'll
Let
be
me-
totally fine, and then, yeah.
Well, let me go ahead and finish up my report on this part of my report. That I've presented ideas on creating bike lanes, not just your typical class 2 where you have a bike lane on each side. We have an issue around downtown where our streets are particularly narrow. So I've drawn up a plan where we would take maybe something like a Bird Street and turn it into a one-way traffic way and have a almost like a class 1 bike lane, a two-way bike lane on one side where we could have one way in the middle and then parking on each side. So we don't want to eliminate parking on Bird Street, but what we do want to eliminate is the ability for people to use it as a speedway, which they do now.
Yeah.
And that's one way what could also solve that problem. So, maybe in the next meeting I'll bring in the plans that I drew up. I didn't think to do that here today, but this is something that I'd like to push and see if we can get some sort of a backbone infrastructure for bikeways that we can build off of. It'll just make
biker friendly.
yeah.
And
We just want to
pedestrian and
some,
biker friendly.
Wheelchair
something
friendly, the whole thing.
something to make it easier to get around if you don't have to drive or driving or being able to afford to drive is an issue, but something that will also, I think, help improve quality of life for all of us living around here.
So I'm hearing 3 topics, and perhaps it makes sense to set aside part of the next meeting as a workshop to talk about traffic calming on Montgomery, to talk about the bicycle infrastructure, and then to talk about congestion in front of Starbucks
Sure.
on Olive. And then
And I'll look into
I'll
ideas.
mention it after the first of the year to the engineering staff so they can start thinking about it.
I got one more request. So I see that we have a new street sweeper. The truck.
We have a lot of trucks, don't we?
Well, okay, the problem is that there's sweep in the middle of the street because there's always cars on the road. Parked there, so you never get the curb and gutters clean.
Yeah, except for my corner.
So I would suggest, which I've run into in
Yeah.
Oakland and Berkeley and
Yep.
everything, there's
Where
a
I'm
sign that
from.
says,
Yep.
no parking first Monday of the month
Yes.
from 6 to 12.
Yeah.
Or the first and third Mondays from 6 to 12. You can't park on this side of the street. So the street sweeper comes by
I
and gets
agree.
that whole side nice and clean.
I agree. Most cities have that.
Yeah, I think that's something that we should look into. Yeah, it's going to take us some time and put signs out and things, but I think we're defeating the purpose of the street sweeper if
I agree.
there's cars all lined up and
Yep.
trailers and motorhomes and everything lined up. You can't even clean the street. When it rains, things flood.
Yep.
Oh, that's my thought.
Okay.
And then Warren, you had
Yeah.
something else.
I have
about
I have a
Oak Tree.
second commissioner report. This has to do with the kind of an add-on to the tree ordinance that we looked at and talked about and passed on to the council. I assume that's going to be at council maybe in January. then?
That is scheduled for January 2nd.
Okay. Okay, good to know, because I'd like to come and I think
Speak.
and speak in front of that one. But primarily, what I want to say here is that, I've been in touch with Connor back and forth, and if you recall I had reached out to the Butte Fire Safe Council to try and get some guidance because I'm trying to rectify our need to do healthy forest management in the wildland side of the city and rectify that with all of the tree replacement and mitigation and such that's in the tree ordinance. I had a conversation with Connor about that, and he indicates that what we might want to do, instead of trying to do that in the tree ordinance itself, kind of let the tree ordinance go as it is, to work on a healthy forest and fire landscape maintenance, either being a development standard or maybe something in our code, I don't know, but that's something that would apply specifically to the foothill overlay, which is mostly corresponds with the portion of the wildland urban interface that's within city limits. Something where we could develop landscape maintenance standards that would promote that healthy, that healthy and safe, the type of forest that would traditionally have been there before we let everything grow. Back when it used to burn every few years. Anyway, keep all the keeping all the brush down, no more than 40% canopy for overhead. Ways that we can still preserve the heritage trees, the larger trees, but the ones that are the most threatening to both forest health and competing for resources and for fire danger is when the brush accumulates underneath. That's what really needs to come out to promote the healthy grown trees and to keep things fire safe. So, I'll just wanted to let everybody know that that's something I'm going to be focusing on. I'll have another conversation with Connor, I think, probably in January, and kind of come up with a plan for how we might want to address that and encourage more fire safety. And I've had a lot of family that were impacted by the campfire and our best friends, and it's we're kind of freaked out about that around where we live right now. So
It's great. For a while there, they wouldn't let you clean the forest. So now I'm happy we can clean it or whatever, manage it. We need to manage it.
And part of this is that the Fire Safe Council is offering a tour of a project that they did where they created an example fire safe area off fire safe forest off of the old Olive Highway, just up from the from Lakeside Market. They're offering to do a tour for us on January 31st. Kind of show us what it looks like and what kinds of things should be done on these landscapes. And, I really don't know what else. I haven't been on a tour like this before, and I'm really kind of curious to see.
Do you know what time?
It would be in the afternoon. I wrote on my email here that says January 31st, but if it pleases everybody, I'd like to send that invitation out to everybody. I think it should go to council as well, because this is the kind of thing that's going to come through council at some point anyway. So,
Is that appropriate to go to the city clerk, or can he just send it out to for distribution, or can he just send it out to the council?
I don't know. Let me know.
You can send it out. My only advice to you would be, so that way we don't violate any kind of Brown Act violation, would be to BCC the council members so that they cannot reply all to you.
I see. Okay.
Or I'm happy to handle it.
It sounds like the easiest thing to do would be to forward it right to you.
I'm happy to take care of it
for me. That's
absolutely.
I like that idea. I like that idea much better. Okay.
Was that your last?
That was the last thing.
Do we have any staff reports?
We sure do.
Oh, wonderful.
Jeez.
Saving the best for last.
I'll be quick.
I'll
be quick.
I've been sitting on some of this stuff for a while, and it's about time to get it out.
Yeah, no, that's good, Warren. This will move some nice topics forward. Historic Preservation Award. There are multiple copies of the flyer in front of you. We have started marketing this program as staff. We've handed the flyers out at the chamber board meeting last week. We sent out a mailer earlier this week to 140 downtown businesses with all of the materials in there, asking for sponsorship, talking about the award and what it is and such. I intend next week to take a couple of hours and walk around downtown and make sure each business has at least one of these flyers. Please take a handful and distribute to your networks. And we'll make more if you want them. The deadline for applications is going to be January 30th with judging in February.
And where do we get the application?
That's a good question. I'll have to make sure that it's.
I just need the application
available.
and then I can nominate.
I really liked seeing the list from the 70s.
I know.
Of the actual historic buildings
Yes,
that were.
the buildings that are
yeah,
recognized.
yeah.
I know. I do too. That was great.
That's insight that we don't have now.
Right.
Okay, other items. Chairman Durling has missed several meetings, as we know, due to health issues, including this evening. I have had a discussion with him. He likes being on the Planning Commission, but he is willing to consider leaving the commission if it's the will of the commission or if staff thinks so, and that's, it's really up to him. So we've talked about it, and he's kind of willing to do that, but we don't have to make any decisions right now. Probably shouldn't have brought that up.
No.
On January 2nd, staff will issue an RFP for the marketing of Oroville. You have there the staff report there that has the RFP in it and what the goals are of this marketing. We've have a new logo. We have a marketing strategy, and a lot of that's in the RFP there. So, if you know of anyone or know of anybody that might be interested, please let them know that that's coming out.
Is the tot fee going to that?
Unclear. Most of that will probably be general fund.
But the tot fee, that's the idea of the tot fee, part of the tot fee.
The tourism piece, yeah.
The 2%. Yeah. The rest is the downtown business district or something?
The rest is actually doing outside recruiting to industry and commercial and market rate housing. And those are not funded by the bid or the tot fee.
Oh.
The tourism piece is, and then there's another part of it that we're looking for a consultant to build community pride, to help our citizens stop apologizing for being Orvillians or Orovillians. So that's the gist of the third approach there. And we think that will bear a lot of fruit from an economic development standpoint and such.
Absolutely.
As mentioned, the oak tree mitigation ordinance will be going in front of the council January 2nd, as will the alfresco dining ordinance. And Connor will be here in person to present both of those to council. He's home on vacation for the Christmas holidays, and he'll be here the week of January 2nd. January 16th is when the food truck village ordinance is scheduled to go, and perhaps the ADU ordinance, but now that'll be in February. I have a personal request. The next DRC meeting is scheduled for January 11th, which is a Thursday. That means, Warren, you're still on it, and Terry is on it as well. I'm requesting that it be moved to January 10th, one day earlier. I'll be on vacation in Hawaii with my wife's 70th birthday on the 11th, starting the 11th. So I'm wondering if that'll be okay.
So I'm still on it, huh?
Are you the one?
Not
pulling
Maui,
off it?
right?
Okay, that's what I was.
Yes,
wondering.
Maui.
You're going to Maui,
Yeah.
really?
Yeah.
Is there anything left?
Kihei, we're going to visit
Lanai,
Lahaina
right.
and see how it looks. Yeah.
Yeah. You stay in like Kaanapali or
Kihei South.
Oh, Kihei. Oh, okay.
Yeah. Down near, more close to the aquarium, that kind of area.
Is
down
that
there.
by where the Grand Wailea is?
I think that's north of that.
Oh, okay.
I'm not sure. I'm not sure of all the K names where they all are.
Yeah, that shouldn't
anyway.
that shouldn't be a problem.
Okay. I'll check with Terry Smith on that. At that meeting, we'll probably have a use permit for Starbucks number 3,
Really?
Wow.
We're getting a
At-
third one?
2040 3rd Street. That's where the Chevron station is at the Grand Avenue exit.
No drive-through though.
Only a drive-through.
There's only a drive-through?
Yes.
I've never seen that.
How's that going to be? I thought that building was already built.
It is, but they're only going to take up a third of it, and they're only going to have staff in there. It's going to be exclusively a drive-in.
Well,
So how's that?
knowing the traffic of these other two, I guess we're gonna have to be.
We got to look at that.
Absolutely.
I didn't realize that.
We've had conversations with them about that. I think I mentioned an RV park at Nelson and 70, a luxury RV park. That will probably come in February. 100-foot high cell tower is proposed. We have a use permit application with microwave at 3425 Orange Street, just south of the RV park that's
Avenue?
there. And,
Orange
and
Street.
near the church that's on the hill and right tucked under
Orange
the
Avenue.
WAPA power lines that go through there.
Is it a monopine or something, or is it going to
It
be?
would be a monopine.
Okay.
The palm hasn't gone up yet. No palm fronds on the other one yet.
Oh, they're
Not
not?
yet,
Just,
no.
When are they gonna get those
We got to
up?
do that.
They have to do that.
Have to do that.
They agreed.
Yeah.
We have an application for a new 72-unit affordable apartment project at 123 Nelson. That's right next to the new Prospect View supportive housing, which is right next to the county clerk's office. This project has requested a density bonus of 18 units. That's more than the 54 that would be allowed in the general plan. So that'll be coming to you folks for consideration. That also project will be coupled with a AHSC grant application that we're working on, which would provide additional pedestrian and bicycle lanes within 1 mile of this project. And that could be a significant boost to getting bike lanes out to the Nelson School out there and some other things. So that's a project we're working on. That's it. That's all I'll talk about now.
Everyone, okay?